Hello friends, this video on preposition part 1 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Topics to be covered in this lesson are introduction, simple preposition, compound preposition, phrase preposition, participial preposition, prepositions versus adverbs, objects to preposition, and what is expressed by prepositions. Now, even before we try to understand what exactly is preposition, first let's see where exactly do we use them. Now, let us look at this sentence. It says, the book is lying on the table. Now, here you see that the word on has been highlighted in blue, which itself tells us that on must be the preposition here, and that is why we have, put it in a different color altogether. And you are right, on here is the preposition. But what is the significance of on in this sentence? Now, if we do not have on, then how the sentence would look like? The sentence would have been, the book is lying the table. So we would have not been able to understand whether the book is lying on the table, or the book is lying under the table, or the book is lying beside the table, or where is it lying? So the relationship between these two words, book and table, is indicated by the word on. So on, even though is a very small word, but it is playing a very critical role in this sentence. And this on is preposition, which is in a way building or indicating the relationships between two words. Like here, it shows the relationship between the table and the book, like where exactly the book is placed on the table. With respect to the table, where exactly the book is lying. So if the book is lying here, that means the book is lying on the table. In case the book was lying below the table, so we would have to use the word below instead of on. If the book was lying under the table, in that case we will have to use the word under. And each of these words, on, under, below, these are all examples of preposition. Now, let us consider the same example. As I said, now the moment the position of the book changes, what happens? The preposition in your sentence also changes. So you see, everything else in the sentence remains the same. It is just the preposition which has changed. Why? Because now the book is lying under the table. So you see, just with the change in preposition, there is so much of a difference in the actual scenario. Right? So if you look at these two pictures, these are two different scenarios. These are two different locations of the book with respect to the table. And when we want to express that, just a single word is able to express that difference, and that word is preposition. Okay, now let us look at one more example. There is a bird on the tree. So here we are talking about two things, the tree and the bird. Now, which is that word which tells us where exactly is the bird with respect to the tree? The word on. So on here is the preposition. Similarly, if we move ahead and look at one more example, he is in the house. So this is the house. When I say he is in the house, so here we are talking about two things, he and house. So where is he with respect to the house? So he is inside the house. So you can see him here. So here in this sentence, in is the preposition, because in tells us where he is with respect to the house. Now, with keeping all other words the same, if we have a sentence like this, he is behind the door. So here we are talking about two things, he and the door. Now, where is he with respect to the door? He is behind the door. So in this sentence, behind is the preposition. So you see, we have used three sentences here. And here in these three sentences, on, in, behind, these are the words which are prepositions. Now, looking at these sentences, can you now tell me what do you think is a preposition? Okay, so preposition is a word that shows the relation of a noun or pronoun to something else. Now, there is a very easy way to remember what is preposition. Just look at the word preposition. It is made up of two parts, preposition. Pre means before. Now we normally use the word pre when we have used in these contexts like prefix or preoccupied, right? Or so wherever we use pre or pre-wedding, so before the wedding, prefix means something which you add before a word. Preoccupied means already occupied from before. So pre means before, and position obviously means placement. So preposition is a word which is placed or positioned before a noun or pronoun, and it also shows the relation of the noun or the pronoun to something else. And this something else could be another noun. It could also be a verb. It could also be an adverb, right? So basically with another word, it shows the relationship of a noun with another word. And generally it is placed before a noun, but that is not a mandatory thing. Sometimes it is also placed after the noun. Okay, now let us look at some examples again. There is a bird on the tree. So this is our first example. So here, on is the preposition and it is placed before a noun. So if you see, tree is the noun, it is placed before the noun, and it also shows the relation of a noun to something else. So here it shows the relation between the tree and the bird. So both of these are nouns. So this is an example of a sentence where the preposition shows the relation between the two nouns, tree and bird. Right? Now let's move on to the next example. Did you meet Reena at the party? So here, which is the preposition? At is the preposition, and at is again placed before a noun, and the noun is party. Now if you look at this sentence, again here it shows relationship between two nouns, party and Reena. Right? So here in this case again, if you do not have the preposition at, then the sentence would become, did you meet Reena the party? Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. You might think that Reena the party is the name of a person. You might think it that way, right? So that will not make any sense basically. But the moment you add at, that shows the relation between Reena and party. It shows that Reena was at the party. So you are talking about a girl named Reena who was at the party. Right? So here again the preposition shows the relation between two nouns, Reena and party. Let's move ahead and look at one more example. The kid jumped off the chair. So in this case, which is the preposition? So here off is the preposition. So off is placed before a noun, that is chair, and also it shows the relation between chair and a verb, jumped. So basically here, what is the role of off here? Off tells you, what off the chair? Jumped off the chair, right? So it is not showing relationship between kid and the chair. Because had it been something like this, that the kid lies on the chair, or the kid is on the chair. If it would have been something like that, in that case it would have shown relationship between the kid and the chair. But in this case it is talking about an action. It is talking about jumping. So basically here the preposition is connecting the two words jumped and chair. So this is an example of a sentence where the preposition shows relationship between a noun and the verb. Right? Okay. Moving ahead with the next example, the teacher looked at him angrily. So here, can you tell me which is the preposition here? So here, at is the preposition. So if you look at its position, it is placed before a pronoun in this case. As I said, that preposition is placed before a noun or a pronoun. So here it is placed before a pronoun, and it shows relationship between this pronoun, him, and the verb looked. So the teacher did what to him? So the teacher looked at him. So at kinds of shows the relationship between the verb looked and the pronoun him. So now by this time, with these many examples, you would have understood that preposition is normally a word which is placed before a noun or a pronoun, and it also shows its relationship with another word, and that another word could be a noun or a verb. Okay, this is a question. What are you thinking of? So here, this example is slightly different from the previous ones. Why? Because in this case, which is the preposition? So preposition is of, and in this case, the preposition is placed after the object. So you see, the preposition is at the end of the sentence. Normally, the prepositions are placed before nouns or pronouns, but here it is at the end of the sentence. So these kind of situations happen, and it happens with relative pronouns like who, which, whom, that, etc. So here again the sentence starts with the WH word like what. So for these kind of words you normally have the preposition placed at the end, but otherwise in the simple sentences they are generally placed before a noun or a pronoun. Okay, the next example. The poem was written by a famous poet. So can you guess which is the preposition here? So in this sentence, the preposition is by. So if you look at this word by, it is present before a noun, which is a poet, okay? And it also shows the relationship between a verb that is written and the poet. Now, if you change the preposition, the meaning of the entire sentence changes. For example, if we change by into with, so the sentence becomes, the poem was written with a famous poet. And what does that mean? That doesn't actually mean that it was written by him. It actually means that maybe the poem was written along with him, which doesn't make much sense, and moreover it doesn't convey the correct meaning, right? So you can understand that how important prepositions are, because they are basically the connectors which tells us the relationship between the other words, right? So here it shows the relationship between written and the poet. So by here is the preposition. Moving on to the last example, I am aware of the rules. So here preposition is of, correct? So it shows the relationship between aware and the rules. There is no cure for many deadly diseases. Here, for is the preposition which shows the relationship between the word cure and diseases. Now, if you write, there is no cure many deadly diseases, that doesn't make any sense. If you write, there is no cure in many deadly diseases, the meaning changes altogether. Right? So therefore, usage of the preposition and usage of the correct preposition in the correct context is very, very important, because the moment you change the preposition, the overall meaning of the sentence gets altered. So prepositions are very critical in a sentence, even though they are very small words, but they are very important. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.